Alrighty, well, for a long time I have wanted to get footage of this particular thing. Now, as you guys may know, I'm sitting in a propane powered vehicle that will switch between propane, which is LPG, and petrol or gasoline. To be exact, LPG, due to the lack of some areas, like my sister's area, it happens, but there's not too many times where you go that far below freezing temperatures in Australia. So instead of using propane, as you do in the States, more often than not, we use LPG, which is a mix of butane and propane. And because of the fact that we don't hit below freezing temperatures on a regular basis, we can use the butane. Whereas if it was minus 20 degrees Celsius, the butane literally won't turn back to gas and it'll just sit in the bottom of the bottle. Anyway, never mind that. This system that I'm in has a on-demand regulator, and it runs from a tank in the back to under the hood, where there's the on-demand regulator where it turns from liquid back into gas. An on-demand regulator, the more you suck, the more it'll let through. The less you suck, the less it lets through. And so basically it's activated by the vacuum in the inlet manifold. And as that increases, it lets more in, and as it drops down, it lets less in. And of course it goes from being a liquefied gas. It's not like a normal propane bottle. It took me a long time to work this out. It's like an aerosol can where you got a little tube that goes to the bottom, and that's why they've got to be mounted a certain way, or they've got feet that are stuck on there. They used to have straps and they could be spun around, but you'd have to know exactly where it was. But the ones now, they weld the feet, as this one has, onto the tank so you know where the bottom is, and they've got the little tube sitting right down in the bottom of the tank, so it continues to remain as liquid until it gets to under the hood, where it goes from a liquid to a gas form and is taken into the engine more or less just as a carburetor works. This system I show here is the second generation. In GMs they refer to it as sequential injection. In the Fords they can refer to it as Eco LPI or LPI. Now the dude, you may hear him talking in the background. Trust me, I can't really tell you his job, but let me tell you one thing for certain. He knows a whole stack more about the going-ons of Ford engines than you guys are ever going to find out in any magazine from any whispers. Just trust me on that one and you might be able to work out what his job is. Anyway, having said that, he's upgraded his vehicle, and I must mention that the GMs, they're slightly weaker than, like this one that I'm in, the first generation, and all first generations generally on LPG will give you 80% the power of what you expect on gasoline. It's something like 98% the power of what you'd expect on gasoline with the GMs, the sequential injection GMs. With the Eco LPI, the Ford official version, the factory built one, that was like about 120% the strength of gasoline, and basically they had to detune the engine slightly in order not to break the transmissions. I shit you not. They were shockingly better than what was expected. Anyway, so basically summing up, the first generation will give you 80% power whether it's Ford or GM. The GM second generation sequential injection, LPI, liquefied propane injection, LPG injection, it's all the same thing, but the GMs will give you almost equal power, and the Fords give you so much more that they had to detune the engines in order not to break the transmission. This one that's shown is a Ford, but it's a standardised gasoline Ford engine that's had one of the early sequential injection systems put on that was an aftermarket system, not a factory-fitted one, made by ICOM, which is an Italian mob, and I think this one was the ICOM JSG, and this is something that's sort of been fitted after the fact, after the things come out of the factory. Several years down the track, this is being fitted. And yeah, these were the first of them. These were before you could even get them in GM. So this is a very early one. And not many people got them at all. There's very few people that got them, and they were very expensive. But he's bought this car second hand, only yesterday, and yeah, he's got one. So here we go. Liquefied propane injection. He's got the rail you see underneath, the stainless steel rail. That's your normal petrol injectors. This system injects LPG or propane still in liquid form direct into the pistons. That's the second generation, as opposed to on-demand regulator and carburetor style running from the amount of vacuum in your inlet manifold. First generation, as this vehicle is. And this is the first time I've ever really got one on camera, so enjoy.
You know, I was looking at...
So your petrol injector line...
That's the fuel rail.
That's your normal petrol line, and that's your liquefied LPG.
Yep.
I've just got a secondary one over there.
Yeah, no, well, that's the injectors for the back.
Yeah, it's like 2 blocks of...
3.
Yeah, 2 blocks of 3, yep.
But I was sort of thinking, God, about it.
Yeah.
And the thing was, I was sort of looking at them and all that.
And I'm not solenoid.
About $9,000-$10,000. I rang up the gas pump, $3,800 to put it on.
Yeah, it'd be about, mine was 3,300, yeah, and that was like, what, 2009, so...
Yeah, so $3,800 to put it on, and I thought, well, and I saw this one, and I thought, well, 110,000 Ks.
They had ones, I thought it was these ones, had the green rocker cover.
Yeah, but no, that was the old Vapor engine.
Oh, yeah, the original converted one.
This standard as a petrol engine. That's been put on afterwards.
So this is not a Ford factory fitted one?
No, it's
aftermarket sort of a...
It's like J&J, or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
It's an Italian one, apparently.
Oh, yeah. Because I heard they did have the aftermarket, and then after, well, obviously Ford just put it in as standard. But
yeah, well, the LPI Falcon, that's
the one.
That's awful in Western Australia.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
Their injectors.
Yeah.
We developed the system in conjunction.
Yeah.
Probably the only downside is it's got the donut tank, which is about 45 litres usable or something.
Yeah.
So it's not as big as a tank.
So it just sits in the spare wheel well, sort of thing.
Circular?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're funny looking.
Yeah.
3 tubes.
Yeah, it's around that, 72, 68.
Yeah.
I know, I think mine was a 75 and your one's a little bit, yeah, I was slightly bigger in the old orange one. I don't know what I am in the current one, but... There you go, people. That actually injects liquefied propane and butane mixture straight into cylinders, and that's an aftermarket system. And your line underneath there, a little stainless steel line, that's your petrol injectors. Brilliant.
He's got his radio on there too.
Yeah, the radio's all built into the dash like permanent.
Yep.
Oh yeah, and on the dashboard. Yeah, and you got all your little display. That's your LCD, lights up quite a bit of stuff.
Yep.
aircon just below it.
Gee, no, that's good, Jeff. Fantastic.
64-year-old guy owns it.
Yeah, yep. Yep. Alright.